Anyway, one studio that certainly isn't independent is The Initiative. This is the Xbox Game Studios developer situated in Santa Monica. It was opened in 2018, led by Daryl Gallagher, an industry veteran who has held many high-profile positions within teams that worked on Call of Duty, and notably Crystal Dynamics, who led the reboot on Tomb Raider. He was a key part of that team who led the 2013 revival and later the 2015 sequel, Rise of the Tomb Raider. So he's led The Initiative. They announced Perfect Dark is the game that they're working on at the Game Awards, I think last year.
Yeah.
No, year before? Oh my God. Anyway, last year. All the years are blending together. I think it was last year.
It was last year.
And just today, this is, it was advertised as a quadruple A studio under Xbox's banner to try and develop the next big hit for Xbox to sit alongside Halo, Gears of War, Minecraft, Forza, Fable, and the like. We now know they're working on Perfect Dark. But an update today on their Twitter has told us that Crystal Dynamics, Daryl Gallagher's former studio, is assisting development on this game. And I'm a bit confused and befuddled on this one, Luke. I'm keen to hear your take. A AAA studio owned by Square Enix is supporting on an exclusive Xbox game that we can only assume is coming at 2023, maybe 2024 at the earliest. Crystal Dynamics, I'm sure we're about to get into it, not a support studio, right? They just shipped Avengers, Rise of the Tomb Raider before that in 2015, and 2013's Tomb Raider. So what do you make of them coming on board to assist and collaborate with The Initiative on Perfect Dark?
I mean, from the news that they're helping development, I'm excited because Perfect Dark was a great story, as well as mechanics. It had sort of everything going for it back then. The original, not the Xbox 360 version. And they really wanted to make Joanna Dark a big character. And if the Initiative needed a support studio to help them make this game, I think Crystal Dynamics is probably the best one they could have gone with because they've just had, a 1-2 punch of smash hits with the 2 Tomb Raider games they did where they had a strong female lead character.
Yeah.
So in terms of, hey, who's a studio that can help us make a female-driven video game? Well, Crystal Dynamics would be the one I'd choose as well. The downside is this isn't Xbox saying to one of their other studios, hey, we need help with some assets or testing, which happens all the time. There was a story a few months ago about a PlayStation studio that kept getting pulled off their own projects to help with development on The Last of Us Part 2. So that sort of stuff happens all the time, and Ubisoft are known for it.
Oh yeah, there's a dozen studios working on each game.
Yeah. So this isn't just one of those, hey, let's tap one of our dozen studios we already own. This is them actively reaching out to another company, saying, hey, we need help with this. And essentially because, this studio was, and when it was announced, they said it was a quadruple A. They called it a quadruple A, and that was the big...
That was, in the job listing for one of the positions,
And it's like, okay, if this is supposed to be the best studio that Microsoft can build, that they put all this money behind, and they've had to go and get help from another company, you kind of wonder where they're at with their game. That they've said, and it's not that they've done it secretly, they've done it publicly.
That's the thing. Said, hey, they've actively communicated on this, which is Anyway, sorry.
No, well, that's the thing. It's like the last time I recall seeing that was when Nintendo pulled Metroid Prime 4 from Bandai Namco and said, hey, we're giving it back to Retro, we're restarting development on it. That's obviously a different scenario, but it's like, it's very, very rare to see a company announce these sort of businessy decisions. So the fact that Xbox have done this, that they've said, hey, no, let's publicly admit we're getting help from another studio, that's a little weird.
Do you think it's the case here that they see this as a very positive announcement? Like it's two, very talented studios coming together to work on our next big game, Perfect Dark. Look forward to it. Because I sort of question whether they're they've got their finger on the pulse correctly, right? Because to your point, studios third-party and independent lending support on first-party productions isn't a new thing. You describe Ubisoft as well, like they have dozens of studios working on all their different titles, contributing in a variety of different ways. Xbox has done it quite a lot as well, although you just don't usually hear about it, right? Like Saber Interactive assisted 343 Industries on a bunch of stuff with the Master Chief Collection, and formerly they led production on the Combat Evolved Anniversary way back in 2011, so they had that relationship. We also had Certain Affinity lend help, I think, with Halo 5 Forge way back when, and Certain Affinity started out of former multiplayer designers from Bungie, so they have that pedigree working with Halo multiplayer. They know their stuff. But that stuff typically isn't actively communicated on, not until like the very end of development when the game's about to come out, and maybe they're doing some behind the scenes stuff and saying, hey, we brought on these experts to help us in this regard. So that's not new, but the fact that, to your point, a brand new studio that's being heralded as Xbox's next big talented team. They're in Santa Monica, hotbed of game development talent down there with Sony Santa Monica, Naughty Dog and Insomniac not too far by. I think Activision has a couple of studios as well, like LA, just a huge pool of talent in that area, right? The fact that we're less than 12 months removed from the announcement, all we've seen is CG, and it just feels as though Crystal Dynamics is on board to save this project, because we haven't seen anything, right? Like, we don't know what state this game is in. It could be sunshine and roses over the initiative. It's going really well. They're just still trying to staff up, and in order to ship this game in a timely manner, they need help from a very talented team. So they're going to get the best, and that's why Xbox felt the need to announce this. So yeah, I'm kind of 50-50. I just don't know which way to lean. I think the proof is going to be in the pudding, as always. But for the moment, I really question why they communicated this.
Well, the other sort of, I mean, obviously Daryl Gallagher being former Crystal Dynamics has probably helped, justify going to that studio.
Absolutely, yeah.
But you have to remember, Xbox have a good relationship with Crystal Dynamics anyway, because they had the exclusive rights for Tomb Raider for 12 months for Rise of the Tomb Raider. So, but there's also another studio we keep forgetting about all this, and that's Rare. Rare aren't active in the development, but they are. They're there to be tapped on the shoulder for support and knowledge. So, if they needed another studio, why couldn't they go to Rare?
Oh, they're too busy twiddling their thumbs over there with Everwild. Look, they don't know what they're doing with that game. So,
it's going to be forever in the wild of development, I reckon, that one.
Yeah. Very nice.
Sorry, that was a bad one.
That's all right. I just want to get to the official tweet so I can bring it up on screen here, everyone can see. So the initiative tweeted out 10 a.m. this morning. Perfect Dark update. We are partnering with Crystal Dynamics, the world-class team behind character-driven games such as Tomb Raider, no mention of Avengers here, to bring this first-person spy thriller to a new generation. So there's the official tweet. I think Daryl Gallagher, or in a subsequent tweet below, noted that the game is still in early development. I posit that the holiday of 2023 is probably the earliest we get this game, more likely leaning towards 2024 for this one. Look, I'm still excited for the game. Like, I think the Perfect Dark franchise is just brimming with potential in my eyes, and I'm really excited to see what their vision brought to life in this instance. And that's the other point as well, like how much creative freedom and what kind of contribution will Crystal Dynamics have in assisting the initiative here. In the communications, they've described it more as a collaboration. So they're not here just to help create assets and buildings and cars and vehicles and foliage for whatever the initiative has decided this game is going to be. I think they're really going to have a hand in shaping exactly how this game turns out. Tabs down under and says, hello, I've waited for you, Everwild. Yeah, probably waiting a bit longer on this one. We've heard that one's in development trouble, and 2025 is the targeted release window. So fingers crossed we get it sooner. But thoughts on, you mentioned actually, Luke, Rare in this. My feeling is Rare has absolutely no say in what happens here. They probably shared a bunch of documentation on the original design ethos for Perfect Dark, and I say that as well because at least the accent for Joanna Dark that we heard in the CGI trailer, which is playing on screen right now, that was revealed at the Game Awards last year, wasn't British. It was an American accent. coming from Perfect Dark. So I think that signals that maybe it's completely separate from how we know the Perfect Dark that we know that was obviously developed by Rare.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 points for that. One is that because it's so early in development, that trailer could have just been thrown together over a couple of weeks, and they just tapped somebody in the studio on the shoulder and said, "Hey, can you come record 2 lines of dialogue? We need some text."
Can you do a British accent? No? Okay, then just do your American accent.
Yeah, Pixar do that all the time. They get the folks in from their studio to record the temp audio, and the one that stands out is Ratatouille. Emile the rat is one of the animators, and Linguini, the human that Remy bonds with, is also another animator at the studio.
Right.
Because the temp audio, the directors just got so used to hearing it, they just went, well, we can't recast them now. We can't find other actors because it's not going to be those characters. So it's entirely possible that they've just tapped somebody internally and said, hey, we need some dialogue, run with it. But I think also to Rare, when I said before, I suspect they got a hand in it. Again, I think it's more just, hey, Rare have this font of knowledge about this character, about this world. We can tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, what's this? Do you have anything about this type of technology or weaponry or whatever? I think it's more just that. I don't think Rare are going to get their hands involved in any way, shape, or form, except maybe some product testing, maybe down the line. And a lot of the key people that made Perfect Dark have moved on to other studios now as well. So there is also that to consider. So yeah, I think Rare's just going to be there, maybe for moral support more than anything. But yeah, I think they got a little too eager on putting that trailer out. If they had left it for 6 months, maybe do it at E3, just gone, that would have been a little bit different. But I think they rushed it, and now they're trying to, as you said before, get some extra help in from a team that can just basically hit the ground running and start building stuff and get it out the door without spending years in development, like a certain game that was shown off again today.
You touched on the fact that obviously it was announced pretty early. I think a lot of what drove that, at least initially, is that we'd heard so many rumors that it was going to be Perfect Dark from the initiative, right? And I think if they had spent any longer not announcing it, it's like, we know what's coming, just tell us. It's like Fable as well, right? Like, even when the acquisition of Playground was announced way back in 2018, we didn't get the announcement for Fable until 2020. And I think, there was rumors dating back to 2017 that Playground was working on that reboot to Fable as well. So, I think, let's just confirm it with a CGI trailer, and then we can come back once it's ready to actually show proper. So, look, here's hoping that we see the Perfect Dark gameplay sometime soon, and it's sounding really exciting. They'd mentioned first person. I was kind of hoping for third, but it's seeming like they're going for a gameplay experience really focused on inertia and movement. So maybe kind of like a take on like Spy, Mirror's Edge type experience. I'm just really excited to see how it turns out. So before we wrap up this story, though, I just want to jump over to LinkedIn and see how many people, at least according to their list of employees here, are working at the initiative. Now, don't take this as a hard factual number. There's probably people who don't have LinkedIn that worked at the initiative, and maybe some people that have left the initiative and just haven't updated their LinkedIn profile. So this is by no means 100% accurate. But as of right now, I go into their profile and 69 employees. Nice. For the initiative. So not a massive team, right? Still growing, and clearly they have ambitions to hire more. I'd have to look at how many job listings are available for them, but still. I
just realized COVID. That's obviously going to be a big roadblock in spinning up a new team, in a new location and meeting people. So maybe that's another reason that they needed help. They couldn't get the people they needed because of the situation in the world.
Yeah, 100%.
Literally just thought of it then.
There's one thing that's been looming over us for the last 18 months. Oh yeah, that's right, that pandemic that's keeping us all inside.
Oh, technically
that's
sword is
happening.
above me.
Yeah.
I've ignored that this whole time. Yeah.